let's get right into the nitty-gritty, guys. Milan, Kevin was talking about it as well, but let's talk about Milan. Actually, Matt, do you want to give us a bit of an overview of what happened or what didn't go well on Saturday? And then I'll introduce the other topics we'll talk about. Well, do you want to give us a recap of the game?
Yeah, the overall performance from Milan was more or less what has been going on and occurring for Milan in 2021, and pales in comparison to the success and the excitement that Milan brought to the field for most of 2020. Right? I mean, they had one of the best records in Europe's top 5 when you look at point accumulation, goals, the goal differential, all these sorts of things. But 2021 has been extremely Jekyll and Hyde of Milan, the Spezia defeat, the match against Udinese, which very much could have been a defeat had it not been for that ridiculous handball. The guy looked like he was dunking a basketball. And then you get a performance like this where Milan starts slow. It looks like it's Sampdoria's game. It's going to be one of those grinded out type of matches where it's going to take something from maybe Ibrahimovic or Hakan in the final third to get a victory here, which was at this point of the season, like you start counting down the games and you kind of going through your mind how many points it'll take for them to secure top 4, which is the ultimate objective. I know Benacer mentioned they're still shooting for Scudetto, but we all here know that's pretty difficult at this point. So it took them about 15 to 20 minutes to get rolling, and towards the tail end of the first half, they looked a little bit better than they did. But it's just simply not complete there. There's certain players in this squad that you're expecting a little bit more from. This is beyond the Teo Hernandez mistake, which players make mistakes. We all know that.
Yeah.
But it was the reaction, right? Because you give up a goal like that, and then Adrian Silva gets a red card, and you have about 25 to 30 minutes up a guy against Samp, which, all credit to them. I thought they played okay. I thought Ranieri did a pretty decent job structuring his side to get a result here. But come on, I think Milan, like you're in second place, like you haven't been to the Champions League for all these years. You got to do a little bit extra. Where's Hakan? Where's Hakan, a player who's fighting for his contract, which I know we had one of the comments up here. You're expecting those types of players to pull something a little extra in matches like this where you maybe don't otherwise have your best performance in there. And we didn't see it. And it took a Hauger goal late for them to get something from this. But performances like this, when you see Napoli winning, you see Lazio winning, Atalanta winning, like it's really worrisome for Milan's Champions League hopes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and I'll on my part as well. Like, think about it, guys. Samp, if it always happens at the end of a season. You got the teams who are fighting for relegation zone, and you'll say, "Oh, they came to San Siro with a knife between their teeth." Samp are playing for nothing. They're safe. They're not going to Europa League. It's not as if something is up for them. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that really pissed me off. The fact that they, even though they had nothing to play for, had more of that will, more of that, that fight to play. Then, Matt, I don't know if you know this, I'm half Turkish. So I watch Hakan play for the Turkish national team. And honestly, like, again, completely different players. Yeah. But it's not just, by the way, I hope you guys don't hear my cat outside. My cat's being really noisy. But the thing about Hakan as well, it's not just the performance on the field, it's the attitude. I see him on social media. When he's in the Turkey team, he's dancing, he's, giving out high fives. He's the man running the show on all points of view. When he's in the Milan locker rooms, it's an Instagram picture that shows him. That's it. You just
but I mean the social media part, I don't think that's what we should focus on. It's mainly on the pitch, right? And as Matt also mentioned, this guy's fighting for a contract, right? With very high demands. He's not asking for a renewal at the same salary plus $1 million. He's asking for 6 million euros, and he goes onto the pitch. And I'm not saying it's only his fault because there are poor performances by everyone, but you expect to see a bit more. Yeah, you expect to see the passion of the fight of someone who wants to prove to the management that I want to stay here and I want to be a part of the project.
100%. And can I just say something? If he gets 6-7 million, how much is Kessie meant to take? We already talked about this lately, but how much is Kessie should get 15 and a house next to the Duomo, as I always say. But apart from that, Matt, I wanted to ask you before. And then we'll get on to what I've got there on the slide. You mentioned, Benacer said that we should be pointing for the title. Have you believed, and how much do you still believe, and what do you think our expectations were this year? Like, what is going on? Are we overachieving? Like, because I personally dreamt of a Scudetto this year, and it's gone past me. But as a realist, I shouldn't have never believed in it. What do you think?
Well, I think it really depends on who you ask. I think there's a lot of fans who are so tired of falling short, being a team that finished at 7th, 8th, having those seasons where they come up just short of Champions League. Right? We had it a couple years ago where final match day with Gattuso in charge, Milan finished 1 point out of top 4. And Inter, of course, finished top 4. And it was like you can see how much that changes the complexion of an entire project, right? Because then you can get Conte, then you can get Lukaku and all these sorts of guys. And now all of a sudden, fast forward a couple years and you're Inter in pole position to win a title and to be the team that ends Juventus's decade of dominance. So the margins are so fine with the competitive nature of Serie A these past couple seasons, because it's not just a Juve Napoli and that's really it. Like you have 5 to 6 teams that are going to be really fighting it out for those 4 spots. So when I entered the season, I was like, you know what, top 4. Like I feel like the team was pretty strong. They had a good 2020. Pioli's been one of the few coaches that has provided some stability. That was my personal aim, was top 4. And then they get off to a really hot start, and I'm like, maybe it's one of those like fantasy years. Like I've something out of a dream. Like you're like, wow, like Milan wins a title. They got not only get back into the Champions League, they're the team that beats Juve, right? Pretty much getting the title back that they were. You can ask some Milan fans maybe robbed of with the Montari ghost goal. So when I was looking at this, I'm like, I saw some positives in this team: Ibrahimovic, Kessie, Benacer, Theo, but I saw some of the results paper over cracks, and these sorts of performances are not particularly surprising to me. It's just I expect like a little bit more of like a polished performance at this point in the season. I'm not expecting them to blow out teams, but to kind of have a little bit more grasp on what the situation is and to not let it spiral out of control. Like if they get top 4, I don't care how they do it. I consider that being a really good, successful season. I know you said you had your aim of getting a title, and that's totally fine. You're totally right to have that as a Milan fan, because that's what our ambitions have to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Inter, Juve, you look at some of these teams and you saw like on paper how much well-positioned they were to win the title over a Milan. So I think it's kind of a progression in the project, right? Champions League, then maybe you kind of flirt with a title. You're kind of right there. Maybe you compete, you get to a round of 16 in the Champions League. And then by a year or two, you're okay, we're the team that's competing for a title. Like it's a three-legged race for the title.
Wow, perfect. You literally catapulted me in the next thing, which I'll start off by Luca. But the future for next year, you mentioned, Matt, perfectly Inter. Inter got the whole cycle started with Inter winning in the last second against Lazio a couple years ago with that De Vrij penalty. I'm not even going to start talking about that. But then the year after, we didn't go into the Champions League because Empoli couldn't score against Andanovic with the amount of times they shot. So it's been quite lucky. But that Champions League money, it really starts, even a mentality-wise, it really starts something. And so next year, God willing, we're aiming to be in the Champions League next year. So if we're in the Champions League, that would be nice. The question is this. Apart from the fact that I'll ask you as well, a little bonus. Does it matter that much to you guys whether we're in Champions League by 2nd place or 4th place? Because to me, if we got in by 4th place, I'll be very disappointed, because that means we went downwards. And it I think it would cancel out all that prestige we had during the season. And then the other question is, the future. What are we talking about? We got Donnarumma, who still hasn't renewed his contract. Ibra apparently is renewing this week, but we don't know. But next year, the team's gonna have some changes here and there. We still gotta pay for Tonali. Apparently, we want Tomori. So realistically, the mercato will be very aimed and could be very small because again, we're a team which has we don't have money everywhere like some teams who don't pay their wages. No, just kidding. But I had in mind these 2 players, guys, and then you guys just go on whatever you want. But Vlahovic and Belotti, you guys know me, which player I am in love with of these 2. But it kind of sets a philosophy thing as well. Next year, are we pointing for the Scudetto and we're going all in? or are we still building up to become one of those teams that then dominates for a long time? Luca, I'll start off with you.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, what I'd like to say is that I think the situation between Inter's cycle and our cycle, which will bring us to the top, is very different. Because I think Inter started their cycle at a moment where Juve was completely dominating and way better than everyone else, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think that if we get into Champions League right away, I don't think that we're that far from Inter at the top, right? So it's not like you need 2-3 years to really catch up to them. So for that reason, then between the two players, I think you have to go with Belotti. I like Vlahovic as well, but I think with Belotti, you get a striker who's proven to score in Serie A over a long period of time, someone who is a bit more experienced, and I think with a player like that, you have a better chance of competing for the Scudetto and really, trying to win it. Because I shouldn't be saying that I was okay with Juve winning 9 in a row, but I definitely would not be okay with Inter winning 2 in a row. That's just too much. I can't handle that. And so I think just next year you need to be ready to go straight out for the Scudetto. And I think that means getting Belotti. Then your question about finishing 2nd or 4th place, all I care about is finishing above Atalanta, because I hate those guys. and I don't want to, especially with the last game of the season against them, I don't want to lose away from home and have Gasperini jumping in our faces again. So hopefully we finish above them. And then the other guy in the slide, Donnarumma, I don't even really have to explain this. Donnarumma, absolute necessity, not at 12 million, but you need to sign Gigio again. He's going to be the cornerstone of the project for the next 10 years. So yeah, absolutely.
Matt, I'll take your... Ricky, by the way, I'll be coming to you in a second as well. I'll be asking your opinion. He's been so good. He's just very...
He's just like, waiting.
I'm thinking. I have many things going through my mind. So
I would say when he will speak, it will be incredible. Like people will be standing up, throwing babies and bras at him, but he's waiting for his moment. Matt, what about you? What do you think? Then how would you respond to what Luca said?
I absolutely agree with Luca on every front there. I mean, let me start with kind of left to right. With Donnarumma, he's got to be in. I understand the money is excessive, and I understand dealing with Mino Raiola is a pain. Obviously, we saw what happened in 2017, but I think it's a different situation, right? Different ownership. You kind of feel like Milan are financially more healthier. The wage bill looks a little bit better. You're not paying these sort of players that have no business being at Milan, but they're heavy earners, and they're just kind of bogging your wage bill down. The Montolivos of the world, some of these other players that, they had some decent spells, yes, but it's quite clear that Milan have really headed in a completely different direction, going for that younger mold of a player. So Donnarumma, I think, he's one of the players that I think Milan has said publicly, not publicly, but rumors have said that, it's him and Ibrahimovic they'll make exceptions with regarding the wage bill. What I mean by that is you have to establish some sort of structure and identity in your wage bill. What I mean by that is who your star cornerstone players are. Then you know who the players are kind of in the middle ground of that. And then your lower earners who are maybe under their first contract, or the Primavera players turn, first teamers. So I think when you look at it, Milan have done a better job getting into a position now where they can make an accommodation for Donnarumma. You got to understand, this guy's been with the team for 5-6 years now with top flight football, not having a consistent defense, yet still putting up ridiculous numbers. He's Italy's undisputed number 1, and he's 22. And he's one of the best top maybe 5 keepers in world football. In many ways, I think Milan could be in a position where they look at Donnarumma and they think maybe he's our Manuel Neuer type, where you don't build around a goalkeeper. But if you have a goalkeeper that's that good, that's generational, that really could kind of just make your situation regarding the goalkeeper very easy. I mean, you see what Chelsea are doing for goalkeepers. You see what Liverpool had to spend for Alisson. I'd rather keep this guy. No question about it. Ibra staying, obviously, for another year. I don't have a problem with it, provided it comes with a striker, which, in my opinion, I think Luca's right with Belotti. I think when you look at scoring 11 goals and 5 assists for a team that's so up and down year to year, years where I thought that maybe Torino was going to aim a little higher and be a Europa League team. When they had Mazzari, I thought they were doing something pretty decent with their side. I thought they had some nice players in there, but then they got rid of him, and now they have coaches coming in and out, and now they're kind of trying to fend off relegation. For him to have 11 goals and 5 assists is pretty impressive in that team. So
I'll put some, Sorry, I just wanted to add to your argument. I'll put in two stats, and then you can continue. So I've got the stats from kickers.com, .it on Belotti and Vlahovic. So Belotti he's only scored 2 penalties, and he's only missed 4 big chances this year. Yeah. On the other hand, Vlahovic has more goals, but he's missed 12 big chances, and he scored 3 penalties. But yeah, go on, Matt.
No, I mean, I think with Belotti, it's really depends on what type of position you're in. I think, when you're looking at the age profile and all of that, Vlahovic seems to fit the building a lot more than Belotti does, right? Because by all accounts, Milan have been going after U24 players. And so in that sense, yes, he checks that box off. He's young. He's got Serie A experience. You like to feel that there's some sort of good business relationships going on with Fiorentina, and they'd be in a position where they would sell a player like them, provided Milan give him a good offer. But I think looking at Belotti, they wanted Belotti 3 years ago, if I'm correct, and they put a huge offer out there for him. I think it was Niang and a ton of cash. Cairo,
Niang, the world beater Niang.
Yeah, right. Ever since that hit off the post against Barcelona, the guy is. Although, to be fair, it looks like he kind of reclaimed some form. But in any case, I think Belotti, listen, I'm not saying I wish for Torino to get relegated, but if they were to get relegated, and Belotti's in a contract year, right? He has 1 year left on his deal, and I think they're trying to get a new deal. He kind of fits. He would be cheaper than Vlahovic, which, according to what I've read, 40 million is what Comiso is asking for Vlahovic, whereas with Gala Belotti, given age, given their position, given the fact that he has 1 year left on his contract, 20 to 25 million maybe. That's not bad, considering the fact that Milan have to Tonali, pay him, Tomori. Then you have other players that you have to address. The winger is huge. Central defense is huge. Fullback position, left. I read the comments. And then left. Okay, so there's a lot of needs to address.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, if you can spread out that money and get players who will have that experience, I think Belotti fits the billing a little bit more there.
Yeah. Also, Matt, I don't know about you guys and Luke as well, and Ricky will know about this, and we'll get him as well. Can I be honest? I am sick and tired of buying someone and every game being like, yeah, no, he's gonna get better. He could be a world beater. I want someone who will come on the pitch, and I already know he's a champ, and he will just do something. And also, you mentioned Raiola before. Did you guys hear about the apparent deal he offered Barca for Haaland?
Yeah.
He tweeted fake news. I don't know if we should trust him on that, but
apparently he wanted 20 mil for himself and 20 mil for his Haaland's dad, but crazy stuff.
Well, guys, Vlahovic or Belotti. I'm gonna say one thing: Vlahovic or Belotti, they're both good, but you should sign Haaland. Pretty easy.
I'll just pop to the bank and ask my dad for a loan.
I think if we signed Haaland, then what we could just give Raiola a piece of the club, because then he would really hold us hostage every time there's contract years with Donnarumma, Haaland.
Yeah. No, I was obviously just kidding. But between Vlahovic and Belotti, I think I agree with Luke and Matt that Belotti is much better for your situation and being more experienced, basically. So yeah.
Wait, let me ask you this, guys, real quick. Because it's something that I've thought a lot about myself when looking at the central defense, looking at Tomori with his option, which I know Milan are going to work with Chelsea to reduce. Romagnoli, is it a year where you potentially consider selling him? Mino Raiola is asking for $6 million a year. I know he's the captain. I understand that. But if you think you're going to pay Donnarumma what he wants, give Ibrahimovic what he wants, give all these sorts of players what they want, does Romagnoli become available to help fill other areas of need? Because right now it's Kjaer and Tomori, and even if Romagnoli does come back in the next week or two, it's still Kjaer and Tomori. And if you're a captain of Milan and you're not getting minutes over those two players, which have been very good, but Romagnoli's been here for 5-6 years already. What do you guys make of that situation?
I'll start off by just as one of 4 people in the world with a Romagnoli t-shirt.
I love him, but I'm just curious to hear what you guys think.
As one of 4 people with it, I think I get a special pass to speak about him. I'm saying all I say is this: maybe I think he's a great player. I think he's just having a down moment. But looking at it from a larger perspective, next year we're in Champions League. We already got to pay so much money. We want Belotti and whatnot. It's so much harder to go out and buy a player who then you can also rely on in the Champions League, who knows the environment, who knows how to play in Serie A, but could become as good for the Champions League, than to just say, you know what, Belotti, let's sit down, let's get a new contract. It's a harder process. Yeah, I'm saying, like, I think it's just better to.
Oh yeah, because you said Belotti. It was just.
No, I'm saying we have to pay for Belotti and stuff. Sorry, did I say Belotti?
Oh.
No, sorry. But what I meant is, like, you know,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yes, yeah. So like, we already have to pay all these things that Frank said. I just think it's easier to just sit down with Romagnoli, tell him, listen, you know, we've been on a down, but we still believe in you. Let's give you a new contract. You'll be with us, and you'll be rotating. Maybe you'll start in the Champions League and whatnot. I think that is much easier than going off and buying a new defender or selling him to then replace him. I think it's just a harder process as well. You know, he's still quite young. He's demonstrated that he's a maybe that's it's just because I'm probably really attached to him. But I like your.
No, I mean, I agree with you, to be honest. I think that Romagnoli, we still, at least personally, I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not he's been good this season, I still like him as a player. And I think he could be good next to Tomori eventually. Also because Kier, as much as I love him, he's at a certain age. So is Kier a center back for the future? Definitely not. Could you rely on him for another 2 years? Yeah, probably. If someone offers a lot of money for Romagnoli, then I say, okay, you can consider it. You know, you can make, but that's, you know, we paid 25 million for him. I know, of course, that over the years to get a plusvalenza, you don't require as much because of depreciation, but I don't know. I think if you get offered a 30 million or so, I don't know if I'm taking that for Romagnoli just because of what Arda said. You still need to replace him.
Yeah.
So personally, I would keep him.
That's fair.
Ricky, as the only unbiased one of the three, let's say, what would you say? And then
I'm going to show you guys.
We'll move on.
I'm going to show you guys just a picture Romagnoli asked me back in 2015.
You got a picture of Romagnoli? No way.
What is that?
God.
Yeah, you know, he was there. Hey, Ricky, sorry, can you take a picture? I was like, yeah.
You're my idol growing up. I can't believe we mentioned but photos of Baresi, Flamini, and Romagnoli in the same podcast. This is incredible. Go on, Ricky.
But regarding Romagnoli, I've also said it in the last episodes we discussed about this. It's a tough situation because obviously he's the captain, and you can just go to him and say, you know, we have Tomarenk here, and just move him out. You have to also consider I said it last time, the human aspect, and it's not an easy situation since he is the captain, but I don't know, you guys have to manage it yourself.
Thank you, Ricky. We'll ring Paolo and we'll tell him what to do.